I just found some footage of a house that I built literally months ago and somehow just never posted on YouTube. And I thought about just scrapping it at this point and not posting the video, but it's kind of a cute house and it's base game only, and I do not build nearly enough base game stuff. So here's the plan. We're gonna call this the Great Lost Speed Build, and I'm still gonna make the video despite me filming the first part of it so long ago. And it'll be kind of a fun experience because it's like I'm watching the speed build for the first time too, because usually I record these voiceovers like the day after I make the build. But in this case, I'm not even sure when I made this build, and I only kind of remember what it looks like on the inside. Okay, well, speaking of base game, the second I open my game, it is trying to sell me more Sims packs. I guess the September sale is on. You probably already knew that because there are full screen pop-ups every time you open the game. So I built this house in Oasis Springs, and I was kind of trying to go for a slightly more modern vibe. The goal with it was mostly just to use a lot of furniture that I don't normally choose, because especially with base game houses, I kind of get stuck in this pattern of using the same stuff that I know I like over and over. And there's loads of wallpapers and things that I just don't really ever touch. So I was trying to base the style around that stuff with this one. This is kind of a spoiler, but this is what it looks like in the end, just in case you're gonna look for it on the gallery. It is 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. It costs 65,000 simoleons, and I built it back in February, like right after the update came out with the new windows. Me calling it the new base game update, but at this point it was 6 months ago, 7 months ago even. Well, with that, let's just get into the speed build and I'll start walking you through what we've built here. This one was a little bit out of my comfort zone in a few ways. I think mostly just because it's more of a modern house, and as you know, I don't really build a lot of stuff like this. It's just not really my vibe, and I also kind of feel like I'm bad at it. So it's just not something I really gravitate toward, and that is precisely why I was trying to do it here. Also with this one, because bear in mind, this was right after that update came out, so I really wanted to use the new windows. And I have been using these new windows a lot since this update, but not the windows that I used here. We got, is it like 4 or 5 new windows in that update back around the anniversary of The Sims? And I use 2 of them all the time, but there's a couple like bigger, more modern windows like you're seeing here that I just haven't really used all that often. So for this, I've used the square windows and I've stacked them together. And then we also have those big like picture windows in the front. I'm gonna use a mix of some platforms on the roof. So there's some flat parts and there's also a little bit of a gabled roof at the very top. We have a balcony. There's a nice big patio in the very back. And you just saw, I was really trying to use the glass fences that are in the base game, and I just don't like them. There are so many things about the base game that are just so severely lacking still. And it's in the basics and like the most random little things. Like, why do we not have a nice plain glass fence? There are 2 glass fences in the base game. One of them has those little pillars at every single tile, and the other one is super tall, so it doesn't really work as a fence around a balcony. I just want a solid glass panel, like an uninterrupted glass panel. This could also be solved by me being able to choose where the pillars go in between the fences instead of them auto placing, but I think that's too much to ask. I just don't foresee that ever happening in this game. It used to be like that in The Sims 3, but I don't see The Sims 4 getting an update like that. They did loads of things like that in The Sims 4 to make it easier to play. They added stuff like that where it's like these smart placement of the wallpapers and like the columns on the edges, and it actually isn't smart, it's just more annoying. But I should stop complaining about that. Anyway, you just watched me try and lay out the floor plan downstairs. I honestly really struggled with the floor plan of this house because it's kind of a slightly weird shape. So I went back and forth a lot about where the kitchen was gonna go and where the living room would be and everything like that. This, what I've just done here, ends up being the final placement. I did use the new base game counter swatches. They added a couple of extra swatches to one of the base game counters. This is right before Businesses and Hobbies came out, so they did this because it would match the Businesses and Hobbies new like coffee bar thing. I am so glad they did this. I think that was one of the best updates we've gotten in a really long time. Honestly, because of the kitchen stuff. It's nice to have new items too, like we got those windows, we got a new fireplace, there are a few things like that, but a kitchen swatch set goes such a long way. And I understand that like when they're making new packs, they can't always make a full new kitchen set because it's like a million different items. One kitchen set is actually every single piece of the counters, every single piece of the cabinets, and there's like 7 or 8 of each of them. So that one item is actually like 15 items all of a sudden. And they have object quotas and whatever for packs, but if they could go and do like maybe 1 swatch update per pack and just give us some extra colors on like a thing that would be nice to match the new pack stuff, seriously, it makes such a huge difference. It's so frustrating when you have this new pack and you're trying to make like this cute new kitchen to match all of the lovely new furniture and there just isn't any kitchen stuff that matches it. So you have to use the base game sets. I was so frustrated when I was playing with Love Struck specifically because Love Struck has no kitchen and none of the base game kitchen stuff looks good with it. It like all looked terrible with Love Struck. And so I wanted to have these really nice, cool penthouses, but it just looked bad. If they had given me like one new base game kitchen swatch, it would have made a huge difference. But anyway, I'm working on some of the furnishings upstairs in this little hallway right now. This is so typical Simsie for me to put this like office nook inside of the upstairs hallway, but it fits perfectly in that little fake chimney spot. So I use that as a place to hide the desk. And you'll notice that around the whole house, I'm using a lot of orange. I am really not a fan of the color orange. In fact, I think it's my least favorite color. It used to be red, but I'm getting to a point now where I just really do not like orange. And so I don't really use a lot of orange in this game. Like I don't really gravitate towards these swatches. I really dislike this sort of honey colored flooring too normally, so I don't really ever use that either. There's orange swatches of the base game lamp that I don't use, but I was making a conscious effort to do that in this build. Like this bedroom has kind of an orange and gray color scheme combo. I actually used one of the weight objects from the base game and put it in the bedroom to sort of mix it all together. I also don't really use that in my regular builds. If I'm gonna put gym equipment inside of a house, I'll usually use the treadmill, and I usually will try to have a separate gym space for it. I don't normally just put it inside of a bedroom. That's not really very realistic. I think most people in real life, if they're gonna have a treadmill, they don't have a full like gym room for it. You might just like have to put it inside of your bedroom or like put it inside of your guest room or something, just where it fits. So I need to be better about doing that in The Sims and like getting over my weird hangups about not wanting them in the bedroom. And so I did that here, and it's nice to have because a lot of Sims need the fitness skill. So I'm using that inside of this space. I did a couple other kind of fancy things too. Like I was putting a lot of wall lights that I don't normally go for. I used one of them in the bathroom. I put some wall lights underneath the kitchen cabinets, kind of like under cabinet lighting. And then this is the only bathroom in the house. I can't remember if there's one upstairs. I don't think there is because the upstairs is pretty small. I used the new counters again in here and also that new tile floor. Oh, yep, this is a one bathroom house. Anyway, I used the new tile floor downstairs in that bathroom. That tile floor is one of the best things we've ever gotten in a Sims 4 update. The new tile they added to the base game in that update a few months ago made such a difference. I use it in almost every single build now. You know, in a way, it's kind of fun for me to be able to talk about this update a few months down the line because we can talk more about how it's like fit into the game, having been out for a while. Because when it's new, everything is so shiny and new and you're using it nonstop. But now it's kind of settled a little bit. We can see how it holds up, having been a few months. But yeah, that tile floor, that's one for the books. That's one of the best things they've ever added. I'm really glad they did that. This bedroom, this kid's bedroom, I didn't like it at the time, and I still don't like it, but I did it anyway. I know that sounds so random, but remember, my goal was to use things that I never ever use. And so like that dinosaur orange rug, I can count on one hand the number of times I put that in a room. I just don't really like it. I've never mixed it with this like blue toned wallpaper, and I very rarely will use a gray carpet. I just don't really use carpet much in general, I don't think, in this game. I feel like it stems from us lacking nice carpet for so long that I kind of just got used to not putting it. And then we finally did get a new carpet swatch in that update a few months ago, but even now that we've had that for a while, I still don't really use the carpet. I'm just not really a big carpet person. Maybe also because I'm not a huge fan of carpet in real life. You know what? I'm actually kind of curious to hear your thoughts on that. Are you a carpet fan, or do you not like it very much? I had carpet in my bedroom growing up as a kid that my parents replaced with tile when I was a teenager. The tile is objectively worse. My parents' house has tile everywhere, like throughout the whole living space. It's very Florida to have that, I think. It's very common, like so many houses around here are just tile, tile, tile everywhere. But I think I just find the upkeep of carpet to be a little bit more annoying. So it wouldn't be my first choice. Like I renovated the house that I live in right now and we put hardwood floors in throughout the whole house. There used to be carpet upstairs and we replaced it with the wood floor instead. I really like the look of wood floors and I think that they're like easier to maintain. Also, some people, I don't want to name any names, but some people named Kayla spill things sometimes. And carpet is just worse to clean. Like you can't be mopping your carpet. So, and with pets too, like I prefer to have a solid floor instead of a carpet. Although carpet is more comfortable and like feels nicer. I'm a rug person. I'll have rugs in rooms. Like I've got a rug in here, but I don't want to have only carpet. Anyway, we're now starting to do wallpaper, which this is so annoying of me to do, but for some reason I always do wallpaper absolute last thing in a build. Like, it's like the last final step. So I just now finally added wallpaper throughout the living space. We have some brick accents and like some nice plain white walls. And then this other bedroom is a second kid's bedroom. There's 2 rooms upstairs and 1 room downstairs. Whenever I have a like split floor plan like this, sometimes I think about making the downstairs room into the primary bedroom, because I feel like that kind of thing happens in real life sometimes, where like the main bedroom is sort of a little bit separate from the rest of them. But I kept the primary bedroom upstairs because there was a balcony attached to that one. So it felt like the nicer room. And then this downstairs one I made into a second kid's room. I used that base game bed with the guitar on it in here. I think that base game bed is a prime candidate for a swatch update. There are really some random things in this game that are super lacking in swatches, and for some reason this bed only has 3 colors to it. Most of the other beds in the base game have like at least 10, but this one does not. And it's a nice bed too. It's just a really simple like plain headboard with a patterned bedspread. I think in an ideal scenario for me, I would like them to take that bed and give me like 5 or 6 more swatches with completely solid colors. Like, give me a white headboard so it matches everything, and then give me like a pink, blue, yellow, green, like simple, solid color bedspreads. Don't need any pattern, don't need anything fancy. I just want a plain, solid color bed in the base game. It's kind of weird that we don't have one, right? Like, it would make such a big difference to have just a couple extra little things. Because when you've got a solid color staple like that, you can mix and match the other stuff around it. You can use a funky patterned rug, you know, you can do all kinds of other things that will bring in more color, but you have this nice bed that just kind of works with anything. We don't have any nice beds that work with anything in the base game. We just don't have any nice beds in the base game at all, period. So it would be nice to have a base game bed improvement. We're now moving outside though, and I'm starting to work on the roof stuff. For a second there, I was thinking about doing a flat roof across the whole place. I ended up swapping it to that gabled roof that I was telling you about before. It just has kind of a simple metal texture on the roof there. And then in the back, I really wanted to have a pool. I wasn't super sure how I wanted to split this up because it's kind of a small lot. It's only 20 by 15. So it makes the backyard pretty small too, but I've got the whole thing raised up on a foundation, and then I tucked the pool off in the corner, kind of like that. You might have seen me draw a weird fence for a second. That's because I wanted to have the game think that it was 2 separate rooms, because I wanted the pool to have a different color foundation than the rest of the area. Then I didn't really like how it looked, so I decided to switch it up and put a platform instead. And because of that, it made the front door floating from the inside. That was kind of weird, so I added another platform inside by the front door. So it's just like a step up and then a step down when you come in. And I put a different texture there. So it has kind of like an entryway look to it, despite it just being a very tiny 2x1 tile space. And then for the wallpaper outside, I used a mixture of just some plain white stucco, a little gray brick, and then also some of the wood tones that we have in the base game. There's like this wood square, rectangular something paneling in the base game, so I used that as a main accent color back here. You know what? That thing also only has 3 swatches. I think it comes in like this sort of beige toned wood. There's a darker grayish toned wood, and then also a green toned one. They need to add like a black and a white and some more colors to that wallpaper too. I don't think they ever actually will. And if I had to choose something for them to prioritize in terms of swatches, it wouldn't be this wallpaper, but this wallpaper is bad and could use some more versions. Does that make sense? Anyway, in the back, I put a couple little lounge chairs. I have a little dining table and a grill. I did actually use the fancy fire alarm system. You know me, I do not ever use that thing. It's rare that I even have a fire alarm at all, but that fancy little thing by the back door, that's actually a sprinkler system. So beyond it just calling the fire department, it actually sets off sprinklers and puts the fire out for you. I don't typically use that in my builds or in my gameplay because I kind of prefer for my Sims to suffer a little bit more. Like, my preference is for the house to burn down, or like for my Sims to risk their life trying to put a fire out. So I just don't use the fancy alarm systems. But I actually put the fire alarm one and the burglar alarm one inside of this house. So you're protected if you decide to play here. In terms of landscaping, I struggle a lot with the landscaping in Oasis Springs always, because I am very much a fan of like super lush landscaping with loads of plants and flowers and everything. And this is the desert. So it just doesn't really match. Like, the kind of landscaping I prefer doesn't really blend in around this world. But what I did use is just a couple of trees and then some simple bushes. And I think it looked really nice. I also put some planter boxes on the patios. I have things like a telescope on the patio also so your Sims can die. There's a chess table on the other patio. There are 2 balconies total. The upstairs rooms are by far way better than the downstairs room because they have those private balconies, but they just have some skill building stuff on them. And then at this point in the build, I'm kind of just going through and adding some last minute details, things like those extra little plants. I made sure I had a trash can. We fixed the the mailbox. I was thinking about like fence colors and stuff just to make sure it all looked good and fine. But with that, we're just about done with the speed build. So I think now I want to pop back into the game and give you a tour of the finished product. Unfortunately, if you were looking for this build, it's going to be kind of a pain for you to find it on my gallery because I've got so much stuff on the gallery. So I'm going to give you a tutorial. Filter by lots and then filter by 20 by 15. That really limits the number of builds that it's going to show you, and you won't have to scroll as far. It's still what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows down, at least right now. And if you're watching this in the future, it's gonna be even worse, but it's just called Base Game Modern House. You could probably also search on my gallery for this. Oh my God, Heist Havoc. I put the burglar lot trait on this. Oh, that's terrible. I guess I did that because I built this like the week that the burglar update came out. So I was kind of excited about the feature. Well, actually, I built this a couple weeks after. The burglar update came out like 2 days before my wedding in real life. So I was not really prioritizing it. I was a little bit preoccupied at the time. So I was late to making this build, and then I was even later to posting the build. But this is what the finished product looks like. I think I'm happy with the color scheme and like the roof line and stuff. The landscaping is all very simple, as I kind of mentioned earlier. But when you first walk in, this is that little platform step up, and you'll enter right into this front door area with a platform that steps down. But I put the burglar alarm by the front door, and then I used this really weird dot wallpaper. I never use this. Honestly, like maybe I've used it 3 or 4 times ever since the game came out. I find it kind of hard to use, and it has that same issue where it has like no swatches. I mean, well, it's got 7 swatches, but the colorful ones are really, really vibrant, and I just don't have much of a need for like a white dot wallpaper, so I don't really think about it, but I use it in this kind of beige color by the door. In the living space, we've got a small living room right here, sort of facing a TV. I've got some kind of orangey artwork on the walls. I've got a dining table here. Lots of things in this room that I don't use, like this lamp. I kind of forget that thing even exists. I never put that anywhere. I don't like this bookshelf because it only has 3 swatches, so I never use that either. This thing could also use a big swatch update. This rug I kind of forget even exists. That's one of the reward rugs. I think you get it from, yeah, the criminal career. Level 8 of the criminal career. There's a guitar by this, and then off in this little corner, this is the kitchen area. I think if I were to do this build now, I probably wouldn't use tile floor, but I had the tile floor because at the time it was new, so I was excited about it. Having had this swatch update for a while, I actually do not like the upper cabinets, and I didn't like them at the time either. I'm good with the stone on the lower cabinets because it's not so obvious that it's stone, but I really dislike how it looks on the upper cabinets. I kind of wish they were like a solid gray or maybe like a solid wood color, like the same color as the countertop. But at least we've got more colors, so I don't want to complain too much and like scare them off. There is only one bathroom downstairs. It's just right here. Oh my God, the rocket ship is poorly placed. How did I manage that? This rocket thing, the Rock My Universe pinup girl, I never use that painting. I don't really like it very much. I don't know. It kind of icks me a little bit, but I put it here because it matched and I wanted to have an excuse to use it. But it's a very simple bathroom, not a lot going on. There is that one bedroom downstairs with just the guitar bed. I use this thing too. This is one of the curtains. It's kind of like a blind. I don't really ever use that either. So I put that in here. Lots of toys and things for the kid inside of this room. And then upstairs, I really am actually happy with the floor plan of this. I think it's kind of a cool layout with the hallway and everything. The hallway kind of becomes an office space. We just have a desk and a computer. I've got these nice paintings on the wall. I use some wall lights too, which I don't normally go for. And then we have that extra kids room. They've got an iPad. I never use the tablet. Sorry, the slablet, I should call it. That's the official name. Oh my God, there's a messed up wallpaper. This build's terrible on the gallery. I'm so sorry for the mistakes. Blame me from 6 months ago. It's her fault, not mine. But it's a pretty simple room. They also have the alarm clock. I haven't been using that as often as I should either. This is unfortunately from one of the events though, so you can't get it anymore. And this kid has their own balcony with a telescope. And then the primary bedroom is just right next to it. They've got a really big window. They've got a sliding door with a chess table outside. I thought this was kind of interesting. I like tiled these 3 mirrors together to look sort of fancy. And then I used this wall light. I really dislike this wall light. It's called the Quetzal. I don't know. I never use it. I just don't like it. It's kind of weird looking, but I used it here. It's kind of like a feature on the wall. And I think that the build needed it. It was a good exercise to try it out. Anyway, in the very back, if you come down this little back door, we have things like a grill, this dining table. I never use these either. This is another thing that has very few swatches. It's just a little set of candles in the base game. It only has 3 colors, but I tried it out here. And there's some lounge chairs and like a little side table with the pool. But otherwise, that's the whole build. I do have a trash can, so it's got all the necessities. It's a little bit expensive, I think, for the size of house, but it's nicely furnished and it's like nice and playable. playable, and anybody can download it because it has no packs. And that is like a breath of fresh air with how much DLC is coming out for The Sims 4 right now. But with that, we've covered the whole speed build. Hopefully it wasn't too weird to have this like weird lost build posted. I was nervous that I wouldn't remember what I had built, but I actually did in the end, so it was fine. I mean, I skimmed through the footage before I started recording the voiceover, so I wasn't going into it completely blind. I am really curious, since we've been talking so much about swatches and stuff, if you had to pick just 1 or 2 items in the base game to get a swatch update, what would you choose? Is there like a certain rug or a certain bed or like some sort of specific item that you would like them to upgrade? I think it's so fun to like discuss that kind of thing because we all have different preferences. I might pick a bed, you might pick a curtain, you know, it's interesting to yap about. And I am sorry to bring up a pack in our base game build video, but I do have early access to the new expansion pack Adventure Awaits right now. I'm not normally allowed to announce that I've got access. I think everybody kind of assumes after a certain point that I've got access, but this time I can say. So I am hard at work on the review video and stuff right now. I haven't started the review yet. I'm doing like my initial playthrough stuff right now. It's too soon to be reviewing anything, but I'll be able to start posting with the pack closer to the end of the month. So if you're new to my channel and you're interested in seeing more about Adventure Awaits, make sure you're subscribed to me here on YouTube because the second I can post about it, I will be here on YouTube telling you everything I know. But anyway, I will stop yapping in your ear and I will end this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I will catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye everybody. You know, the base game has improved so much recently. Even if you just look at this build from today, so many of the items that I used are new. Things that have come out in updates in the past couple of years. It's such an improvement compared to the original base game at launch. Still has a long way to go, but we're getting somewhere.